I'll go ahead and move on to Senate Bill 138, amend parole provisions regarding life sentences. Senator Rush. Senator Rush, Senate Bill 138. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Judiciary Committee. I'm Senator Art Rush from District 17, and I'm here on behalf of Senate Bill 138. I'm a member of the Corrections Commission, but I want to make sure that everybody understands I'm not speaking on behalf of the Corrections Commission. I'm speaking only on my own behalf. But one of the things done a lot of touring in our penitentiaries as a part of the Corrections Commission, and one of the things that strikes me every time I go in there, whether our prisons are turning into old folks' homes because there's so many wheelchairs and there's so many walkers in the prison, and so that has kind of led me to evaluating where we're at, and one of the concerns that life sentences, because life sentences obviously always take up a lot of space in the prison, and they take up people who really are maybe physically unable to be a danger anymore. Is South Dakota doesn't, particularly in life sentences, doesn't really account for those differences in the moral culpability. First-degree murder, second-degree murder, and manslaughter require completely different mens rea or moral culpability, and yet they can get a life sentence, and if they get a life sentence, they're locked up perpetually. What this bill that I have is an attempting to make some distinction between those levels of moral culpability on that. First-degree murder requires a premeditated design to affect the death of the person killed or some other person, or while perpetrating an arson, rape, robbery, burglary, kidnapping, or the use of a bomb. So it's a premeditated design to affect the death, or one of the other exceptions there. But second-degree murder doesn't require that premeditated design or planned design to affect the death. It requires an act eminently dangerous to others and evincing a depraved mind without regard for human life, without any premeditated design to affect the death of a particular person. So, that you can see that the mens rea that's required for second-degree murder it doesn't require that element of planning to kill someone. And manslaughter is even a lower standard. So a very significant difference in the moral culpability of what's required for manslaughter. But South Dakota allows life sentences for both second-degree murder and for manslaughter. And I'm not objecting to those sentences, but what I'm saying is that we should make a distinction that those people who have the lesser degree of culpability should be allowed sometime when they're eligible for parole. Right now, South Dakota law forbids parole for anyone serving a life sentence, even if it's for second-degree murder or manslaughter, even if they've shown a long record of being rehabilitated, even if they have been in the penitentiary for many, many years and have perfect records, never have violated the rules or anything like that. What my proposal is that somebody who's serving a life sentence for a Class B felony would be eligible for parole after 40 years, and someone who's serving a life sentence for a Class C felony would be eligible for parole after 30 years. So, secondly, most of the people who would be eligible for parole after 30 or 40 years are going to be 50 or 60 years old at that time. And that's long past the age where people commit most crimes. Even the career criminals pretty well taper off at that age because they don't have the physical ability to commit the kind of crimes. So they really present a very low risk of danger to society if they're paroled at that age. That's basically what I'm doing. We had a financial impact of that. The state would say I think $1.3 million over the lifetime of this. Under my statute, proposed statute, it does not guarantee that they would be released. It provides that they will be eligible for parole, so the parole board could consider that. So, almost every other state has what they call life with parole. We do not have any life with parole. We have only life without parole. And so basically what my proposal is that we also create this category of life with parole for Class B and Class C felons. I'm not making any kind of a change, proposing any kind of a change for Class A felonies. So I just heard a number of things here. Most recently, we heard that this will be automatic parole. That's absolutely contrary to everything that the proposed statute does. There's nothing that says automatic parole. It would be up to the parole board, the same as it is on anything else. If the person's got a bad record, they're not going to get parole. There's simply no provision for automatic parole in this. Punishment was never designed to be only retribution. And that's what we hear is that it's only designed for retribution, and we've got to have this retribution. We've got to keep these people locked up forever. But that was never the intention of punishment. Retribution was one of the elements to be taken into consideration in imposing sentences.
Thank you. Questions by members of the committee? Hearing none, action and discussion. Senator Schoenbeck.
Move to the 41st day.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Senator Blair.
As a former prosecutor, I always marveled when we go to conferences and we'd have these state's attorneys in other states, and they would tell me life, 20 years or something like that, and I'd look at them funny. What do you mean? And I'd say, my state, life means life. And we were kind of unique in that regard. In other words, we were one of the few relatively honest states about sentencing in the country, and I think we should stay that way.
I'll ask that the Secretary call the roll on the motion to the 41st day.
Senators Blair.
Aye.
Kennedy.
No.
Norstrup.
Aye.
Schoenbeck.
Aye.
Stalzer.
Aye.
Rush.
No.
Russell.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, you have 5 ayes and 2 nays.
Motion passed.